Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. Call InventHelp today.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-352-1609. That's 1-800-352-1609.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method and to get your free report, go to 52security.com. That's the number 52security.com. 52security.com. Go to 52security.com.
Hurt or injured in a car accident? It can be hard to take the proper legal action after a car accident, but waiting can cost you more. The law requires car accident victims to assert claims promptly. You could lose out by simply waiting. Call 800-709-4667 right now to see what your claim could be worth when handled by a skilled attorney. With a lawyer fighting and speaking up for you, you could be entitled to a big cash award. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Now it's fast and easy to connect with the legal help you need after your car accident. Call 800-709-4667. The call is free, but you need to act now before time runs out on your claim. You need a lawyer to fight for you, protect you, and get you the compensation you need and deserve. Time's wasting. Call 800-709-4667. That's 800-709-4667. Call now.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please call or go online right now.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up, with no extra charges. With the Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
listening to The Rod Eccles Show.
You know, folks, I just want you to know that according to CNN, new article today, you are making an island disappear. One of the clearest injustices of climate change. The Marshall Islands likely won't exist if we warm the planet 2 degrees. Now, this is today. Now, might I remind you that back in 2010, there was another article that said exactly the same thing. If the planet, if it warms 2 degrees. Now, the problem is that the planet hasn't been warming for the last 18 years. So they keep telling us that the oceans are rising, and the reality is that the ocean levels have actually shrunk because of why? Because of all the polar ice that has formed on the north and south poles. The polar ice caps have grown. So that water has to come from somewhere. So this whole scenario that these archipelago types of islands, these coral types of islands are going to disappear. Well, that happens anyway and has always happened throughout the eons of history here on this planet. Now, here's a story to buffer this from National Geographic. Now, understand, National Geographic is not a bastion of conservative thought. And here's the question that they pose, and it's in their In Focus blog section. Will Pacific Island nations disappear as seas rise? Well, maybe not. In fact, National Geographic found that reef islands can grow and change shape as sediments shift, studies show. Oh, wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Well, hold on there, doggy. In the CNN story, Angie Hippisis heard her nephew, Mark, banging on the door, screaming in the Marshallese. In other words, there's flooding happening. Not again, not again, not again. She says, well, you know what? If it's happening once, why don't you get the hell out? You know, it's like that where the rest of the world is supposed to be put on hold because a few hundred or a few thousand idiots want to stay on an island paradise. So, well, evidently it's not paradise. Now, out here in the middle of the Pacific, somewhere between Australia and Hawaii, there's a place where no one has the luxury of denying the existence of climate change. Oh, really? Well, there is no climate change. No man-made climate change. Of course, nobody's denying climate change as the natural order of things because the Earth naturally has its own cycles. We as man have nothing to do with it. People in the Marshall Islands are living it and have been living it. They've internalized the gravest of predictions that the Marshall Islands, this loose collection of non-elevation coral atolls, likely will be submerged beneath the waves as humans continue to warm the atmosphere, but there has been no warming in the past 18 years, and the oceans continue to rise. The ocean levels have actually fallen due to all the ice. They've seen their homes flood frequently. Well, that's because they're in an atoll. You know, they make it sound like it should never flood. Now, Marjorie Anugar watched the remains of his infant son, George, who died at 7 months, wash into the Pacific from a coastal graveyard. Well, you know, I guess you mean you can't look. Even you can't bury people on an atoll. They're not going to stay there. A few people are already making the difficult decision to leave this country, in part because of the frequency of floods and the threat to climate change. And I found some of them seeking refuge in the most unexpected places. In the 9 days I spent in Majuro, Majuro, the crescent-shaped capital of the Marshall Islands, I learned there is nowhere on these islands to escape the floods because they're all atolls that are like only a few inches above sea level. But here's the problem. Back to National Geographic. If you were faced with the threat of the disappearance of your nation, what would you do? That's the question Ineli Sopoga, the Prime Minister of the tiny Pacific Island nation of Tuvalu, asked fellow world leaders at the United Nations Climate Summit in Lima, Peru back in December. Now, it's a question that leaders of Pacific Island states have been asking for decades as a warming climate drives sea levels upwards. Low-lying island nations face an uncertain future or no future at all, say these leaders who warn their nations imminent disappearance. Now, officials in Tuvalu, 600 miles or so as a bird flies, as a crow flies, north of Fiji, have been some of the most vocal critics of the world's large greenhouse gas emitters, industrialized nations such as the United States and China, which they accuse of not doing enough to curb emissions, contributing to the melting of ice sheets and rising seas. But there hasn't been any melting. It's all freezing. Now, these are desperate questions, but how real is the threat? Are island nations like Tuvalu, where most of the land is barely above sea level, destined to sink beneath the waves like modern-day Atlantises? This is National Geographic now. Not necessarily, according to a growing body of evidence amassed by New Zealand coastal geomorphologist Paul Kench at the University of Auckland School of Environment and colleagues in Australia and Fiji who have been studying how reef islands in the Pacific and Indian Oceans respond to rising sea levels. They found that reef islands change shape and move around in response to shifting sediments and that many of them are actually growing in size, not shrinking. As sea levels inches upward, the implication is that many islands, especially less developed ones with few permanent structures, may cope with rising seas well into the next century. But for areas that have been transformed by human development, such as the capitals of Kiribati, Tuvalu, and Maldives, the future is considerably gloomier. That's largely because there are many structures, seawalls, roads, and water and electricity systems are locked in place. So in other words, it's not the United States and China in our industrialized ways of living that are dooming these islands. It's the islanders themselves, according to a growing body of information and research. They're killing their islands. They're killing their own islands. Now, their analysis, which now extends to more than 600 coral reef islands in the Pacific and Indian Oceans, indicate that about 80% of the islands have remained stable or increased in size. Roughly 40% in each category. Only 20% have shown the net reduction that's widely assumed to be a typical island's fate when sea levels rise. These tend to be highly inhabited islands. What? Oh, so you people down there in the Maldives and in the Marshall Islands who are complaining that it is, the United States and China and India and all the industrialized nations who are causing the rise in sea levels, which is causing the sinking and flooding of your islands, you're now finding out that you're the direct cause of your beloved islands of being swamped. Now, what say you? Isn't that interesting? So, are we to help you now because of your own selfish desire to live someplace, obviously, that man was not intended to be? I mean,